Has Broken Bobby ever been brutalized by the police? Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. Let's get.
Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, Broken Bobby versus the police. All right, so I got some examples of instances where the police have put in work on Broken Bobby, I guess you would say. And before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Smash that like button, hit the dislike button, whatever floats your boat. Hit that notification bell so that anytime I drop a new video or I go live, you will be notified and you can check it out when you're ready. Make sure you hit all on that. Also, share the video. It really helps the channel to grow and get the message out. So I appreciate it if you would do that and join the channel, become a member. Just hit that join button, check it out. You get early access to videos, and I'm still working on trying to get some merch together, and there'll be some promos for that as well there. So let's get into this though. Run-ins I've had with the police department, the sheriff's department, correctional officers. There's been quite a few. And if I'm being perfectly honest about the situation, typically when I've been cool with them, they've been pretty cool with me. Uh, Maybe slammed up against the car or something, but I'll let you in on something. When I was dealing drugs and out there running around in the streets, there were two different broken bobbies that the cops would make contact with. There was the high broken bobby that didn't necessarily have anything in his possession that he was worried about, that would run his mouth to no end and talk shit like you wouldn't believe. And then there was the broken Bobby who knew he was riding dirty and had a pistol under the seat and a quarter pound of dope in the trunk, that was the kindest, politest person ever. Uh, so as many of you could probably figure out, that kind, polite person often got a lot more leeway than the asshole. So I'll give you a couple of instances of situations I've had with the police department. Now, this first one is San Bernardino PD. This has got to be like 96 or so. And I'm over visiting my girl who would go on to become my wife, or I might have been living there. I don't really recall, but it was like on 6th Street in San Bernardino. That area looks a lot different nowadays than it did back then. But there was a individual that lived down the street that was drunk and got in their truck and smashed into the homie's car. And so the police were called. We weren't the ones that called the police, but the police were called. They come out. There was a motorcycle cop there as well as a couple of black and whites. And the homie's car didn't have tags. The homie was Stan, by the way. I did a video in memory of him. Rest in peace to Stan. But Stan was a great dude. And because his car didn't have tags, they were towing it. Now, Stan was the victim here. His car was parked, not bothering anybody. And this drunk driver slammed into his shit. And now they're going to tow Stan's car. So I'm out there, younger buck, and I'm running my mouth. I'm just talking shit like I knew I didn't have anything on me, and I don't even think I was under the influence on this particular one. but I was pissed off that they were going to tow the homie's car. And the motorcycle cop comes over and he tells me, "Sir, you need to back up." I think I was just into the street. He wanted me back up on the curb. And, I'm like, "I don't need to go nowhere. It's a free country. And what are you going to do about it?" type of stuff. Well, that was the wrong thing to say to this dude. This was a big, burly motorcycle cop, still had his helmet on, and he broke out that billy club. And he's like, "Sir, step back up onto the curb or I'm going to put you on the curb." And me being me, I said, "Well, I'd love to see you put me on the curb. What are you going to do? F you and this and that and the other." That billy club came back and bam, smacked me right above the knee in the muscle tissue area. Not the knee itself, but like a very well placed strike, which left a huge bruise and me on the ground sucking my thumb crying. No, not really. But, I was on the ground oohing and ahhing, and Stan was trying to get me away from the situation. And they didn't take me to jail or anything that day. And they did end up taking the homie's car. But, I did my best to make my point and argue for him. But that was one instance. There was another instance where, okay, so you all know about the felony stop. I've talked about that before, and that one, that was the first time I ever got arrested. They pulled me out at gunpoint. That scared the hell out of me. There was no abuse there or anything, but moving on a few years later, I was just out on parole. I was working at Pep Boys in San Bernardino, and we were staying near San Bernardino High School. I'm fresh out on parole, shaved head, fresh ink and stuff. And like, the cops come out. It had been a domestic dispute with some roommates we were living with. And the cops come out, and I was really heavy into those energy drinks at that time. Like, I'd buy that big old giant monster, like a 40-ounce can. But I had an off-brand one. And I guess, looking at it, not knowing, it sort of looked like a tall can. But so it's sitting on the curb, and the cop comes up, and there's some back and forth between my wife and the cop. And the long story short, basically, the cop told my wife, something to the extent of, "Are you stupid?" And that's what you're not going to do. That's not what you're going to do with me standing right there. So, I tell him, "You must be effing stupid. And maybe that's why so many of you mother effers are getting shot." And he turned to me, and next, he says, "So what are you drinking in the can there? You on probation or parole?" Now he's pissed off at me, right? But I'm not done. So he says, "So, you're on parole with an open container right there?" And I told him, I said, "You can't read the effing can. It's an energy drink. Are you stupid or something?" Next thing I know, he grabs me and I'm eating dirt. And a couple other cops come over and assist him. And, I got a few lumps out of that one. I'm sitting there cuffed. And why, I don't know. But he didn't take me to jail on that one. I was on parole. Police contact could have given me a violation. And, they say God looks after children and fools. Well, which category I fell into on that one. But, the thing is, in my experience, like I said, the thing is, when I act a fool, I typically get treated that way. And there was another time I had just got out of jail, and I've told this story before as well, but they raided the homie's pad, and I go over to see what's going on, and he's got us all on the curb running names, and I'm sitting there, and I figure I'm free and clear, so I'm running my mouth as usual. Sometimes like you got to bump your head a few times before you figure some things out, you know. But you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I just got out. I know I'm clean. I ain't got nothing to worry about. No, I don't need to shut up, officer. That type of stuff. And so he had taken our IDs. He's running our names and everything. Like I've been out like 3 days. No reason for me to be wanted by anybody, but keep something in mind. And I've said this plenty of times. I was on probation in Riverside, San Bernardino, and Los Angeles all at the same time. Now, I had just been released from Riverside, I do believe, and but the problem is I was on probation in the other two counties, and the probation officer in Riverside didn't notify the other counties. So what happens? I have a failure to check in with probation warrant. So another probation violation. So dude's running all the names. The homie Stan was there again. He's clean. The other homie there, he's clean. The big mouth, this is the cop talking, pointing at me. The big mouth, cuff his ass. And all of a sudden, my whole tune changed. I went from being loud and obnoxious to, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? There ain't no way I could have a warrant. And they said, you're wanted out of Los Angeles and San Bernardino. And yeah, they got me cuffed up and roughed up a little bit, got me in the back of the car, took me down to San Bernardino police station in downtown San Bernardino. And the cop tells me, you know what? You would have just been OR'd, but you're wanted out of county and we have to honor that. So that turned into another 12 months of my life basically behind bars because every county would give me a violation and okay, that's 120 days, that's 120 days, it's, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was rough, but I'll tell you a better experience I had with a cop recently. And this is good advice for people out there. If you run into, you have police contact, you get pulled over or something, there's, in my opinion, there's nothing, not necessarily nothing to be afraid of with the police, but, you know, the police have a difficult job. Okay. You know, I'm not a super big sympathizer with the police, but at the same time, I understand they have a difficult job. So I'm coming home from work. It's like 3:45 in the morning, and the sheriff pulls me over. And you know, I got tinted windows and everything. So when I pull over, you know, I know I committed the infraction he's pulling me over for. So I'm at his mercy pretty much. I'm trying to get out of a ticket here. But I pull over, I roll down all four windows, put my hands on the steering wheel. And this made the officer feel more at ease, I guess, with the traffic stop. And he cut me some slack. You know what I mean? Like he could have done a whole lot more, but, you know, he showed your boy a little bit of love on that one because, you know, I played ball, if you will. So, yeah, those are my stories in regards to incidents I've had with the police. There's more, but I don't want to run this thing for a half an hour. So we'll leave it at that for now. Hope everybody is going to have a fantastic week. Everybody be safe. Remember, if we don't put ourselves in situations where we have to have these police contacts, then, you know, it won't be a thing that we need to worry about. So it all starts with sobriety. You know, if you're new to sobriety, welcome. I believe in you. You can do this stuff, you know. You know, I got clean 20 years ago. It took several relapses and several in-house care programs for me to finally get it right and a term in prison. You know what I mean? But eventually I did get it right. So if I could do it, you could do it too. Family, fitness, and freedom are the things that allowed me to get my life together and be able to be here talking to you guys today. You know, if it weren't for those things, I'd probably still be in prison. So, like I said, hope everybody's having a great week. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to subscribe. If you liked the video, definitely hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, hit a thumbs down. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think, what your experience has been with the police. And, did I get it? Do you think I got it right? Did I get it wrong? You let me know. Also, share the video. It really helps the channel to grow. And we are growing. I appreciate you all. You guys are what makes the lives worth doing. And the reason I do these videos. So, shout out to all of you guys. And also become a member. Hit that join button and select a membership level. I think they start at like $1.99 or $2.99 a month, and you get early access to members only videos. And I'm still working on trying to get some merch together. It's been kind of rough, but it's in the pipeline, so be on the lookout for that as well. And like I always say, don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.